Darshitji, aren't we going to the 11th verse?
अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। वंदितु सव सिद्धे ध्रुम चलमणो वमम गदिम पत्ते वो छामी समय पाहुड़ मिणमो शुद्ध केवली बणिदम नमः समय साराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चित स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावांतर चिदे. So yesterday we had seen verse number 9 and 10 where it was mentioned that it was mentioned about the scriptural omniscient, Shrut Kevli. So the one who knows his own pure soul, he is referred to as real scriptural omniscient, Nischay Shrut Kevli. And the one who knows the whole entirety of Jinvani, Dvat Sang, okay, he is known as conventional scriptural omniscient, Vyavhar Shrut Kevli. So there are not two persons, but the same person, okay, same person at the same time. Just because he knows the pure soul, that's why he is referred to as real scriptural omniscient, Nischay Shrut Kevli. And the same person at the same time, when he knows the entirety of Jinvani, Dvat Sang, then he is considered a Vyavhar Shrut Kevli. So we will see one paragraph from page number 121, the next page. It should be noted, this one paragraph we will refer and then we will move to the verse number 11. This is basically a summary of that. It should be noted that these two nayas occur simultaneously. Okay. So instead of nayas, we can say these two perspectives, because in one moment you can focus at one place only, right? That is the limitation of sensory and scriptural knowledge, Mati Shrut Gyan, okay? We can focus on one thing at a time. So these two nayas occur simultaneously. That means two perspective, okay? In the same person at the same moment, not in different person nor at different times. The very person who by knowing the soul or the Atma is a Nuschay Srut Kevli, at the very moment is also a Vyavhar Srut Kevli by virtue of being an expert in the scriptural knowledge of Dvatsa. Likewise, the very person who at that time is a Vyavhar Shrut Kevli, owing to his mastery of the 12 Angas, Dvatsang, is simultaneously a Nischay Shrut Kevli because of his self-realization. Between the two, there is neither difference of person nor difference of time. Okay. This is the essence of the verse number 9 and 10. Now we will move on to verse number 11. Okay. Verse number 11, page number 128. In fact, 129. We have to start from 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 129. 1
Ji, sorry for interpreting.
Mhm.
Right? Is it not, is Nishchay Sudkevalai, is it not necessary for him that he has to know all the 12 languages? That is, he has to know all the Shuddha.
See, for Shrut Kevli, there are two conditions. One
Okay.
is he has to be a right believer. The second is that he has to know the entire of Dwat Shang, the
So
entire
he
Jinwani.
has to have both the things.
Yes, both the things. Then only you are a Shrut Kevli.
Okay,
Okay.
Nishchay Shuddkevali.
Yes, Nischay Shrut Kevli
Okay.
or Vyavhar Shrut Kevli, both conditions has to be fulfilled to be
Okay.
categorized as a scriptural omniscient.
Okay, Ji. Thank you.
Okay. And now we will start with the 11th verse, page number 129. Okay, yeah. Uh, so next page. This we are going to skip. Mm, We can just read the first paragraph. Let it be 128. Yes. First paragraph we'll read and then we will skip and then we'll move on to the next page. Between the 10th and 11th Gathas of the Samaysar, two verses are found in the Sanskrit commentary Tatparya Vritti by Acharya Jaisen. So initially the Samaysar Granth was written by Kunkund Acharya Dev. Then after 1000 years, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev wrote the commentary Atma Khyati Tika, okay, by the name of Atma Khyati Tika. Then after 300 years, there was Acharya Jaisen who wrote another commentary on Samaysar. It is named as Tatparya Vritti. Okay. So in Acharya Jaisen's Tatparya Vritti, between the 10th and the 11th, there are two more verses which is not found in Amritchandra Acharya Dev's or not in Kunkund Acharya Dev's. So that is his own creation. Okay. So those two verses we are skipping because there is nothing more to be explained over there. Okay. Now we'll move on to the next page where the verse number 11 starts. Yeah. Now the question arises from there. Yeah. Bottom line. Now the question arises from here we need to start. Now the question arises when the Vyavharnai has firmly established itself by virtue of being the revealer of the Paramarth, the real point of view, the ultimate reality, then why should it still not be followed? So in the previous 9th and 10th Gatha, we have it was explained that those who doesn't understand the lecture, it was in the 8th, that those who doesn't understand this language of Malay, he should be, those who know the language of Malay only and he doesn't know the Sanskrit or any other language, he has to be made understood in that language only. But one should not become Malay. Okay, that was verse number 8. So here in connection to that, that when the Vyavharne has firmly established itself by virtue of being the revealer of the Paramarth, then why should it still not be followed? Okay, why should it still not be followed? Because that Vyavharne is also, or this Vyavharne's job is to take you towards the real point of view. Okay, so it is doing its own work, no? Then why it should not be followed? Followed means, followed what? Followed means that it should not be accepted as the ultimate truth. It has got its own importance. Conventional point of view has got its own importance. We cannot deny that. Okay. If it was not important, then it would not have been the part of the right knowledge. Okay. Just because it is a part of the right scriptural knowledge, so it has established itself, but it should not be followed. Why? Because whatever the conventional point of view states, it is not as it is. Am nothing, right? So it is not saying the truth, okay? And the real point of view is saying the truth. So it should be accepted as it is, okay? So now the question comes in this 11th verse, then why should it still not be followed because it is doing its job. It is helping you to get towards the real point of view. Okay. So why it should not be followed? Why it should not be adapted in the same sense as we adapt the real point of view? So I told you that conventional point of view doesn't tell you the truth, so it should not be followed. And real point of view tells you the truth, so it should be followed. Another reason is that through conventional point of view, you cannot realize your soul. But through real point of view, you can realize your soul. So ultimately, if you want to realize your soul, you have to get to the real point of view. But before that, of course, conventional point of view has its own importance, because without conventional point of view, you cannot get to the real point of view. And without getting real point of view, you cannot realize yourself. So the conventional point of view is important from that perspective. But when it comes to the question of experiencing the self, then only real point of view is required. Okay. So both has got its own importance. The whole path of liberation rests on both of these. If you ignore any one of these, then you will not achieve the path of liberation. Okay. So both has got its importance, but in what is to be adapted in what sense, that has to be very clearly understood. So conventional point of view is something that you should not follow. You should not follow means you should not adapt it as the ultimate truth. Okay. It is saying things from a certain perspective, and from that perspective, the things are okay, right? Okay. But when you go to the real point of view, then this conventional viewpoint is negated. Okay. Because it never depicts the truth. And because it never depicts the truth, that's why it is not helpful in our self-realization. So real point of view is helpful in our self-realization. So it has to be adapted as it is. Whatever it says, it is all absolutely truth existent. Okay. And whatever conventional point of view says is untrue and non-existence. Okay. This is what is the Gatha 11 all about. So I'll read the Prakrit and the Hindi one, and then you can read. Okay. Vyavharo bhudatto desido sudhanao Buddhattamase sado khalu Sammaditthi havadi जीवो शुद्ध नहीं भूतार्थ है अभूतार्थ है व्यवहार नहीं भूतार्थ की ही शरण गह ये आत्मा सम्यक लहे. So what it says, next page 130. Yes, it has been said. Okay. So Shashikala ji, you read.
It has been said the Vyavahar Naya concerns the unreal, Abhutartha, whereas the Suddha Naya concerns the real Buddhartha. The Jiva that takes refuge in Buddhartha is real Samyak Drishti. Explaining the meaning of the above Gatha, Acharya Amritchandra writes in the Atmakhyati, all the Vyavahara Nayas being Abhutartha reveal what is unreal, what is non-existent, untrue. Only the Suddha Naya being Bhudartha reveals what is real, what truly exists. Now this point is clarified through an example. Although the pure nature of water is covered due to the admixture of thick mud. Most people who experience such muddy water and who lack discernment between the water and the mud perceive that water as impure. They fail to understand that by nature the water is in fact pure and that the impurity lies merely in its association, samyoha. Consequently, they regard the water itself as impure. However, some people, by their own effort, introduce kataka phala, that is the cleaning nut, into the water, and through the separation that arises between the water and the mud, they pursue through their own self-effort, that is purushartha, the manifestly pure nature of that water as truly pure. Shall I continue?
Yes.
The purpose is that most people considering the mud mixed water to be impure by nature drink, drink as it is and consequently suffer from various diseases and distress. But some discerning individuals, through their power of discrimination, viveka, come to understand that the water itself is not impure, that within this muddy water, the water and the mud are distinct, and that through the use of katakapala, that is the two can be separated, that is mud and the water, two means. Therefore, by their own effort, they add the katakapala and render the muddy water so clear and pure that even their own reflection becomes distinctly visible in it. Drinking such a purified water, they remain free from disease and enjoy the bliss of perfect health. The same way, due to the association of powerful rise of karma, the innate single knowing nature, sahaja eka nyayaka bhava, eka nyayaka bhava, becomes obscured. No? Trubhutava, sir, what is that?
Tirobhut.
Oh, Tirobhutha. Consequently, the most people whose minds are deluded by convention, vyavahara vimohita siddham, in Tamil also will say siddham, who lack discernment between the Atma and Karma, and who nonetheless claim to experience the self. Indeed, experience the self only as impure and as having multiple modes, aneka bhava rupa asuddha. However, those who are sees of reality, Buddhartha, experience the self as pure through the discernment between the Atma and Karma produced by the application of the pure standpoint, Suddhanaya, employed by their intellect and by their own spiritual effort, Purushartha. They manifest the innate, single knowing nature, that is Sahaja Eka Nyayaka Bhava, and experience it as pure, indeed as nothing but a single knowing nature and not as having multiple modes. Here the Suddhinaya serves the same purpose as the Khataka Phala, that is cleansing unit. Therefore, only those who take refuge in the Suddhanaya, seeing rightly through proper discernment, become Samyak Drishti and not others. Hence, for those who perceive the Atma as distinct from Karma, the Vyavaharanaya is not to be followed. This Gatha is
Stop. So here ends our syllabus, the commentary by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev, okay, for this Gatha. Okay, so I will repeat again. I'll just go take you through, and there are some corrections in between that also I will tell you. I had shared the picture and write up on cleansing nut, cleansing nut. It is called Nirmali seeds, and here it is called Katak Phal. So the primary job of that is that it settles down the mud below, and above you get the pure water for consumption. Okay, because the one who knows that mud is different and water is different, he is able to put that katak phal and get the pure water. Okay, the mud settles down in the bottom. But one who doesn't know about it, they drink the muddy water and they fell ill and they suffer. That's all. Okay. So we will read. First of all, what is the meaning of abhutarth and bhutarth? That's given in the first line. It has been said the Vyavaharnai concerns the unreal, untrue, non-existent. Okay, abhutarth means unreal, untrue, non-existent. Okay, you can write down in your copies. so that you remember it properly, and that is called abhutartha. Okay, abhut plus arth, abhutarth. Okay, whereas the shuddhanaya, so shuddhanaya here means what, Darshit ji? Shuddhanaya means which number?
Number 8.
Yes, everywhere it will be mentioned Shuddhanay. This is a shortcut here. But you have to understand it is Param Shuddha Nischay Nay. Okay. The shortcut of this is Shuddhanay. Everywhere it is mentioned Shuddhanay, Shuddhanay, Shuddhanay. But you have to understand it is number 8. Okay. And number 8 only focuses on the pure soul, devoid of modification, devoid of distinctions of attributes, okay, devoid of non-self, okay, that is pure soul, that is number 8, okay. So the Vyavarnai concerns the unreal, the untrue, non-existent, that is called Abhudarth, where the Shuddhanai, Param Shuddha Nischayinai, concerns the real, Bhutarth, true, existent.
Jay, excuse me, sorry for interpreting. In Param Shuddha Nischanai, the soul is it devoid of attributes and pariyai, or pariyai, soul, everything?
Distinctions of attributes. It is having attributes. Attributes are the integral part of a substance, right? So we cannot take out but this Param Shuddha Nischayinai, out of the whole Dravya number 1, it focuses on pure soul. Dravya number 2, okay? That Dravya number 2 is devoid of non-self things, is devoid of modifications, whether pure or impure. That we also studied here in verse number 6. Nati apramat ke pramat nati. Okay? It is neither negligent nor non-negligent, because these two are part of the modification. So it is devoid of pure modification, it is devoid of impure modification. And the third part, it is devoid of distinction of attributes.
Okay.
Distinction of attributes. This is knowledge, this is belief, this is conduct, this is bliss. No. The moment you do such things, you cannot be in the pure state. Okay. Vikalp will arise because of the distinction, and when vikalp arises, then you are not in the experience mode. Okay. So for having the experience mode, you have to just focus on the pure soul, which is devoid of non-self, devoid of modification, devoid of distinction of attributes. Okay. Everything is non-differentiated, abhed, one, okay, general, samanya, then nitya, that is eternal. Okay. So general, then non-differentiated, abhed, then nitya, eternal, and ek, one. Okay, that is the Dravya number 2 that we studied in the Agam Ke Nahi. Okay, so now you understood?
Yes.
So this Shuddhanai concerns the real, that is Bhutarth, that is true, okay, that is existent. The Jiva that takes refuge in the Bhutarth, okay. So we also have to take refuge in the Bhutarth, that is number 8, Param Shuddha Nischay Nai, subject, Shuddhatma, pure soul, okay. The Jiva that takes refuge in the Bhutarth, that is the pure soul, is real Samyak Drashti, right believer. Okay. You can write besides that, right believer. We had agreed that we will write the English words only, and in bracket you can put in Hindi words. Okay. And so it was happening like that only. But here in Samaysar, they have changed the system. Now everyone is doing a job as a volunteer. Okay. So we cannot say anything, whatever they are doing, just because of that I am able to teach you. So we are very grateful for those translation team. But having said that, they also sometimes forget what is to be followed and what is not to be followed. And of course, some of the mistakes that are here and there that we will correct. Hopefully the next year, the students who are coming, they will have a very good version. Okay. Explaining the meaning of the above Gatha, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev writes in the Atma Khyati. All the Vyavarnes means all 4 types of Vyavarne. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Being abhutar, untrue, unreal, non-existent. Reveal what is unreal, what is non-existent, untrue. Okay, all 3 put together is abhutar. Only the Shuddhanai being Bhutat reveals what is real, what truly exists. Okay. So this much is the starting line of Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev. Now, this point is clarified through an example. Although the pure nature of water is covered due to the admixture of thick mud, most people who experience such muddy water and who lack the discernment. What is this discernment? Vivek.
Yeah.
Vivek, samaj, samaj. Distinction between the two. Okay. One who lacks the discernment means what is right and what is wrong. Okay. Between the water and the mud. Discernment is always between the two things. Okay. One who lacks the discernment, differentiation between the water and the mud, perceives that water as impure. They fail to understand that by nature, the water is in fact pure and that the impurity lies merely in its association, sanyog. Okay. Consequently, they regard the water itself as impure. Okay. So they, because they are not having the power of discernment, okay, they feel that both are the same thing and one thing, and they feel that water is impure. Okay. However, some people by their own hand, instead of effort, you can write hand. Okay. Introduce katak phal, the cleansing nut, into the water. The moment you put this katak phal in the water, the mud settles down at the bottom. Okay. All the mud settles down at the bottom, and on the top you get absolutely clear water where you can reflect your face also. Okay. That much clear water it becomes immediately. Okay. And through the separation that arises between the water and the mud, they perceive through their own self-effort. Now is the word effort is correct. Now is the word purusharth. Okay. Through their own self-effort, the manifestly pure water, pure nature of that water as truly pure. Okay. So this is the result of putting that katak phal. Similarly, the Shuddhanai is doing the job of katak phal. Shuddhanai only grasps the pure soul. Similarly, here also, because of the katak phal, you get the clear water. The mud settles down, and on the top you get the pure clear water. Okay. So through their own self-effort, the manifestly pure nature of that water as truly pure, they perceive through their own self-effort the manifestly pure nature of that water as truly pure. The purport is that the meaning or the conclusion is that most people, considering the mud mixed water to be impure by nature, drink it as it is and consequently suffer from various diseases and distress. But some discerning individuals. Now, who is this discerning individuals? Samaysaar, sensible, intelligent, prudent, judicious. Okay. But some discerning individuals through their power of discrimination, Vivek, Ved Vigyan, come to understand that the water itself is not impure, that within this muddy water, the water and the mud are two distinct things, and that through the use of the Katak Phal, the two can be separated. Therefore, by their own effort. So here again, by their own hand. Instead of effort, it is hand. By their own hand, they add the Katak Phal and render the muddy water so clear. Okay. Render the muddy water so clear and pure that even their own reflection becomes distinctly visible in it. Drinking such purified water, they remain free from disease and enjoy the bliss of perfect health. So everyone is good with the example? So Sikalaji, you understood the example?
In English also the alum stone, no? Fitkari in Hindi they'll say, no? You have different
This is
examples.
Katak Phal. This is Katak Phal. Fitkar is different. Fitkar is different. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this is something new I'm hearing.
Yeah. I send you in the group Google, Wikipedia and Google what it means, and I've also shared the photos.
Yeah. I have to read it. I saw that you are posting. I have to read it. It's a big one.
Yes.
So,
So now, based on this example, yeah.
So do we actually use this like in daily life?
Yeah. Earlier there were no RO, no purifier. People used to purify the water only like this only, because from the well they used to fetch the water, and those waters used to have some impure components in it, and by applying this they used to clear the water. And then you can, by mug or by something, you can take the clear water from the upper side and put it in some another vessel, and that was what they used to drink. Okay.
Sir, this Katak Pal, you know what is this pal?
It is Nirmali seed. It is also called Nirmali seed.
Nirmali seed.
Yes, it's called the cleansing nut. Okay. So this is the example. Now we will see what is the principle. In the same way, due to the association of a powerful rise of karma, okay, the innate. So the innate is not a good word, natural. Hindi word is sahaj. So sahaj is natural. Okay. So innate, instead of innate, you write natural. Okay. The natural single knowing nature, एक ज्ञायक भाव, सहज एक ज्ञायक भाव, the knower. Okay, in English it is called the knower. Okay, only the knower, single knowing nature. Okay, सहज एक ज्ञायक भाव becomes obscured. Obscured means hidden. Okay, because of the powerful rise of the karma, the natural single knowing nature becomes obscured. Okay, so I will connect this with the verse number 5. Okay, we will get to that verse number 5. Let me finish this, then I will show you verse number 5, and we will learn some good tricks to practice discriminative knowledge. Okay, so due to the association of powerful rise of karma, the innate single knowing nature, sahaj ek gnayik bhav, becomes obscured, hidden, tirobhut, ढक गया. Okay, ढक जाना. Okay, it has got covered. Okay, it's hidden, so you cannot see yourself just because of the powerful rise of karma. Okay, consequently, most people whose minds are deluded, okay, they don't see the things in the right sense because their minds are deluded. By convention, Vyavhar vimohit chit. Okay. Deluded by convention. Deluded by convention means they believe convention as the real viewpoint. That is their mistake, and that's why they are deluded. You have to understand conventional as conventional, and conventional as conventional means aim nathi, not like that. Whatever conventional statement says, it is not like that. And whatever the real statements are made, it is like that only. It is the ultimate truth. Okay. So it becomes obscured. Consequently, most people whose minds are deluded by convention, who lack discernment, discernment between the Atma and the Karma. Okay. So they don't differentiate between the Atma and Karma. They feel that both are one. And then you cut down all this, who nonetheless claim to be experiencing the self, and cut this whole line, who nonetheless claim to experience the self, cut down all this, and indeed experience the self only as impure. How do they experience the self? Only as impure, because they lack discernment between the karma and the Atma. So they feel that the Atma has become impure just because of the powerful rise of karma. They feel that Atma has become impure, like those people who were drinking the muddy water. Okay. And they didn't know that by putting this medicine we can get the pure water. Okay. So they were consuming the impure water and they were suffering from diseases. Okay. They were not enjoying good health. So those who lack discernment between the Atma and Karma, and indeed experience the self only as impure and as having multiple modes. अनेक भाव रूप अशुद्ध. Okay. अनेक भाव रूप अशुद्ध. Okay. So this is like that. However, those who are the seers of reality, okay, bhutartha, true, real, then existent, experience the self as pure through the discernment between the Atma and Karma, produced by the application of the pure standpoint. Produced by the application of the pure standpoint, that is the Shuddhanaya. Okay. Employed by their intellect. Employed by their intellect, so that's why they are able to discriminate between the two. And by their own spiritual effort, Purusharth, they manifest the innate. So innate would be natural, single, knowing nature, Sahaj Ek Gnayak Bhav, and experience it as pure, indeed as nothing but a single knowing nature, not as having multiple modes. Okay. So you can see the difference between the two, the one who has got discernment and the one who has not got the discernment. Okay. So the one who has not got the discernment, he experiences the soul as impure, whether in reality soul never becomes impure. Soul is always pure by default. Okay. Because of the delusion, we believe it to be impure. But in reality, it is never becoming impure. It is always pure, pure, pure. Okay. Here the Shuddhanai serves the same purpose as the Katakfal, cleansing knot. Therefore, only those who take refuge in the Shuddhanai, those who take refuge in the Shuddhanai means those who take refuge in the subject of Shuddhanai, which is pure soul. devoid of non-self, devoid of modifications, devoid of distinction of attributes. Okay. So those who take refuge in the Shuddhanai, that refuge in the Shuddhanai means those who take refuge in the pure soul, seeing rightly through proper discernment, become Samyak Drashti, right believer, and not others. Hence, for those who perceive the Atma as distinct from karma, the Vyavarnai is not to be followed, right? Because they want to experience, and if they follow the Vyavarnai, they will not get to that. Okay. So, for those who have already experienced the pure soul, for them, Vyavarnai is not to be followed. Not to be followed means not to be taken refuge in. Okay. Not to be followed means not to be followed like real point of view. Okay. Now we will go to commentary of verse number 5. There is a connection of here to there, and that I want to highlight. Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev's commentary, I will tell you the page number. Yes, page number 61. Okay, page number 61. One minute, wait, let me see where it is. Okay, so not this one, prior to this one, fourth verse. Let me see. Fourth verse. It is around page number 52. Yes. Page number 53, first paragraph. But the oneness of the soul, next page, next page, yeah, this one, yeah. But the oneness of the soul, or the soul distinguished in its oneness, ekatva vibhakta atma. That means unitary yet distinct soul. Okay. So I think you have corrected in your books. Everyone is corrected. Unitary yet distinct soul. I did. Darshiji. No, Darshiji will not have. Those who have taken a printout, they must have corrected. Okay. So but the oneness of the soul, or the unitary yet distinct soul, which is clearly seen as separate through the pure light of discriminative knowledge. Now, when you apply this discriminative knowledge, you can see that the soul is different and the karmas are different, the soul is different, and the emotions that manifest because of karma are different. Okay, so those clearly seen as separate through the pure light of discriminative knowledge, although it is luminously manifest within. So that means when you apply the discriminative knowledge, you will be able to see two things in that same modification. One is the pure soul, which is luminously manifest within. Okay. अंतरंग में प्रगट रूप से प्रकाशमान. It is illuminating, luminously manifest within, is nevertheless becoming extremely obscured. How it is becoming obscured, now I want to understand this. Same obscured, we also have this word here in the verse number 11. So when When, see, in the same modification, two things are simultaneously reflecting. One is pure soul, the self, and the other is the, because of the rise of karma, what things are showing up in the modification? The impure manifestations. Okay, passions, auspicious, inauspicious sentiments, all these are reflecting, right? So when it is reflecting, and then you do oneness, mindness, doership, and enjoyership, in that, then what you do, the pure soul gets obscured. Okay, so the pure soul gets obscured when you do oneness, mindness, doership, enjoyership of the toxic emotions. Okay, so in the same place, the pure soul was also there, toxic emotion was also there. The moment you do oneness with that toxic emotions, then these get obscured. And if you don't do oneness in that, okay, then this will get highlighted. The pure soul will get highlighted. It will not get hidden. Okay, so when it gets highlighted, you said, I am this, and that is self-realization. So one modification, both being reflected. Okay, now if you do oneness with the toxic emotions, which is an outcome of the rise of karma, okay, then this gets obscured. Okay, your pure soul gets obscured. Okay, so I wanted to make you this clear here. Last Sunday, while I was explaining the Samaysaar in Hindi, I realized this, and then I checked with Swamiji's pravachan. So he has also not explained, but it is here very clearly that which is clearly seen as separate through the pure light of discriminative knowledge. So when you apply this discriminative knowledge, then you could see two things. One is the pure soul, which is luminously, which is illuminating, manifest within, is nevertheless becoming extremely obscured because it is being made one with the cycle of passions. So when you made one with the cycle of passions, the pure soul gets covered, hidden, okay, obscured. Now again come back to our original Gatha number 11. Yeah, page number 131. Okay. In the same way, due to the association, 131, first paragraph. Yes. In the same way, due to the association of a powerful rise of karma. Now, what happens when there is a powerful rise of karma? Because of that, the toxic emotion arises. Okay, the toxic emotion manifests. Okay, and simultaneously you do oneness with that toxic emotion. Then what happens? The natural, single, knowing nature, Sahaj Ek Gnayak Bhav, which is pure soul, becomes obscured, becomes hidden, तिरोभूत, okay, ढक जाता है. Consequently, most people whose minds are deluded by convention, who lack discernment between the Atma and the Karma, and indeed experience the self only as impure and as having multiple modes. Okay, so that is the because of delusion. Now, however, those who are seers of reality, those who are able to practice discriminative knowledge, okay, experiences the self as pure through the discernment between the Atma and Karma produced by the application of the pure standpoint, that is Shuddha, employed by their intellect and by their own spiritual effort, they manifest the natural single knowing nature and experience it as pure. Indeed, as nothing but a single knowing nature, not as having multiple modes. Okay. So here we need to practice discriminative knowledge. Same modification, two things simultaneously reflecting. If you are under the influence of delusion, then you will obscure the pure soul and do oneness, mindness, doership, enjoyership with the toxic emotions. But if you have practice, if you are able to practice discriminative knowledge, then what you will do? You will not do oneness. Although the passions are reflecting, no problem, let it reflect. But the pure soul is also reflecting, right? So you establish identity with the pure soul, okay, and you will manifest self-realization. That is the time of self-realization, okay. So this is how we practice discriminative knowledge. So when you practice discriminative knowledge, you have to have ownership in one place, okay, that is your belief attribute. How the belief attribute works, it does oneness at one place only, okay. So this is how you practice discriminative knowledge, okay. Now Darshitji, your question.
Okay, sorry. When we talk about this, I mean, in the reality of life, how do we practice? Because sometimes there are things that happen in your life which throw you off balance.
Right.
And to bring it together in that moment in time, are there any tricks or suggestions that you can give me?
So by the studies that you have done since last 3.5 years, in your knowledge modification, you have established an image of pure soul, right? Everyone has established. Everyone knows pure soul is like this, like this, like this, like this, right? So that pure soul is also reflecting in every modification, right? And as you said, in your real day-to-day life, there is always rise of some powerful karmas. And because of the rise of those powerful karmas, something is happening at the toxic emotions level, right? You are experiencing the toxic emotion. So now you have two things coming simultaneously in the same modification. One part is the toxic emotion, which is because of the rise of karma. Because without rise of karma, never a toxic emotion manifest. That is true. Without the rise of karma, the passions doesn't arise. The passions only arise when there is a rise of karma. When you take shelter in yourself, the passion doesn't arise. Passion only arises when there is a rise of karma. When you are taking shelter in the external substance, then only passion arises. So now the passion has arisen, and simultaneously the pure soul is also reflecting. For whom this pure soul is reflecting? Those who have accepted the nature of pure soul, those who have accepted the pure soul is reflecting in every moment, they will only have a chance of practicing discriminative knowledge. Those who doesn't know anything about the pure soul, how they will discriminate, right? For discrimination, you need two parties. Out of this, one party is pure soul and the other party is the outcome of karmas, okay? Fruits of karma, that is the passions, toxic emotions. So now, since we have studied for last 3.5 years, you have imagined, you have established an image of pure soul in your modification. So now you are in a better position to discriminate between the two. So both will be reflecting, right? Because of the rise of karma, the passions are also reflecting and the pure soul is reflecting. Now the skill that you have to develop is you have to obscure the passion. Okay? You have to obscure the passion, then what you could see only? The pure soul. That is being prominent now, right? And you do oneness with that. And that is called discriminative knowledge. So what will happen, the moment you incline towards your pure soul, that passion will automatically go away. You will never have an impact of that passion in you. You will feel eternal bliss, right? So So whatever be the rise of karma, if you are in happy state at that point of time, right, we don't mind. Just like the monk, when they get afflictions, what the monks do? The 5 Pandavas, they were meditating and somebody put hot ornaments in their head. What the 3 Pandavas did? They remained engrossed in themselves. They remained connected with their soul, pure soul, and they didn't realize what was happening. They never got distracted and they manifested omniscient knowledge and they got liberated. But the younger two, they had this thought that what would have happened to the elder brothers. They were caring for their elder brothers, and because of that care, they bound karmas of 33 sagars to be in heavenly beings. Now they are in heavenly being. So they lost the opportunity to get liberated. Okay, because they manifested that auspicious sentiment. They had this feeling of carefulness for their elder brothers, and that is an auspicious sentiment. And because of that auspicious sentiment, they will take birth in the celestial being for 33 sagars, which is a very long period. So the idea is, in the same moment, if you are able to discriminate, you can realize yourself, you can connect to your soul, and the moment you connect to your soul, the other thing gets secondary, gone. The other thing becomes gone. The pure soul becomes primary. So this is you have to practice. So initially, when you have a challenge in your day-to-day life, you will not be able to do this. But if you prepare yourself like this, when there is no problem at all, okay? So now all things are good. You study the scriptures, you practice it, you contemplate it, you arrive at a decision. So when in reality any problem will come, you will be able to practice. But if you have not practiced when things are good, then at that point of time you will not be able to balance, you will suffer. Okay, you have to develop this strength by practicing again and again. So if you practice, again there will be two parties. One is pure soul and other is the outcome of the rise of powerful karma, right? So you have a choice, okay, and you can exercise those choice with practice, right? As the cricketers, they practice so much that when the ball is put in that way, they have no time to think. They just practice. Because of their past practices, the reflex happens in that manner and the ball goes for a 6. If they, even for a split second, if they start thinking, they will not be able to execute the shot. But that has come as a reflex action. And that reflex action is the outcome of the practice they have done earlier, right? So we also have to do this practice. Then in their real lifetime situation, you will be able to practice and you will be in a peaceful mode at that moment. From outer, you will see many things happening, but internally, you will be at peace. And this is the fruit of your practice. Okay. So start practicing. Refer again verse number 4 and again refer here, and this same thing we are going to connect in the verse number 14. Okay. So that we will be of course covering in the next week. So today we will keep up to this 11, verse number 11. 12 we will do it in the next week, and we will see whether we are able to do one more extra class on Wednesday. Then we will do, okay? But Monday, Tuesday, anyways, we are connecting, and today I have to go somewhere right now, so I'm leaving you. Still, I started 7-8 minutes late, and I'm closing 7-8 minutes late. So today's class would be around 1 hour only, okay? But next week we will catch up with one more extra class, and we have enough time, 3 weeks to complete before your before your objectives begin. Okay, so we will be completing by the end of June anyways, but next week we will try to take one extra class if possible. That we will see in the next week only. Okay, so if you have any questions for today's class, you understood how do you practice, Darshitji, the whole process. Again, you connect to verse number 4, where you have to put the, that punch that you have to decide. Okay, same moment, both the things reflecting. If you highlight this one, that will become secondary. Okay, one is primary, then the other is always a secondary. So this is how you have to practice. Any other questions? Priyanka, you are good?
I think she's left class. She was earlier in class, but I think she's gone.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Rajeshri, you are good? Able to understand?
Yes, sir. Very good, sir. Yeah.
Okay. And simultaneously, you can attend the Sunday classes also. And I plan in July again, we will be taking Samaysaar from the beginning, special classes, okay? Optional classes, those who
Okay.
want to again do it again, I would like to do it again, okay?
In which language?
Pardon? English only.
English, okay.
Yeah, English only. Because Hindi, though, anyway, Sunday classes are going on. So those who understand Hindi, they can pick up those classes. But this 1 to 15 gathas are very, very important. It's the whole basis of Samaysaar. So if you are able to understand 1 to 15, you have understood whole Samaysaar. Okay. So we will see. In July, I plan to repeat this again. By the time your objectives will be going on simultaneously, but I don't mind, and we will see how it goes. Okay. So, but anytime if you have any question, we can connect one-to-one. That is always available. Okay. So next week we will start with verse number 12. Okay. So if you read in advance only the words and the Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev's commentary, I think you will be able to understand the class better. Okay. Okay. So I'll close for today. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है. 9 times नमोकार मंत्र. बोलो द्वात सांगमयी जिनवाणी माता की जय.
धन्यवाद जी.
जय
Thank
जिनेन्द्र.
you.
Jai Jinendra, sir.
जय जिनेन्द्र.